Hi everybody and welcome back to Route 7 Railway. Today's going to be our first tabletop session, and what we're going to be looking at is this. This is a non-runner. It's a 47 chassis and it's in a mess, and let's see if we can salvage this and make something of it. Right, hello again, and here we are at the bench. Now let's have a closer look at what we've got and what we've got to play with. We've got a motor, a chassis, 47 chassis, and an old one at that. So here we are, we've got a mess of wires, and here's the motor itself. See if there's any life in this, and then we've got to see, we've got to be able to connect this up to that once we've got it going in the proper way, so that it's going to be picking up its power from the wheels. Right, what I'm going to do now is test this. Something tells me it's not going to have any at all. Now these are the brush covers here. Touch on there and see if there's any movement at all. Nothing. So what we've found now is that there's no... Oh, I've got a problem with my lighter. There we go. That there's no life in that motor. It turns fine. It's easy. The motor turns easy. Very easy indeed. And it's smooth. So there's potential there. So what we'll do now is we'll strip it down and see if there's a problem. We'll give it a good old clean, and we'll see if there's any issues inside there. And we'll take it from there. I've never actually worked on one of these before, so I'm a little bit in the dark about how things come apart. But you can normally work it out. Oh, there we go. Look at that. That just came off dead easy then. Perfect. And there's the other brush. Sometimes I've seen on the YouTube, sometimes they have to pull this wheel off on some of these motors to get this out. So yes, I did have to take that wheel off. And then it all comes apart. Right, that's just mechanical. Free running, nice and smooth, no issues. That's got little splines on it. Don't know if you'll be able to see that. Little splines on there so that the wheel grips. So that's that. Yeah, there's a pin in there, little pin in there that goes into that recess there. Okay, so that's it, stripped down. What I'll do is I'll give all them a good cleaning, and not being 100% electronically minded, I think there's I'll check up on the way to test these. I know that I've got a tester, a way to test the different segments in that to make sure that they're all connected. A bit of bad editing later. What's happened is that as you saw, I tested the segments on this armature here. I found that I was getting the same reading on all of the armatures. I think it was 18 ohms. And I thought I might be able to get all this going. So I cleaned everything up and I took the liberty of putting it all back together and testing it off camera. Unfortunately, it just wasn't having any. I couldn't get it going. So basically, it was scrap. I think there's a problem. If you look in there, I think there's a problem in the wiring, and the wires wasn't connected, and I just haven't got the skill or the knowledge to fix an armature. So, plan B. Plan B now, I thought, well, if I'm going to scrap everything, I mean, I only got the whole thing for £1 or so. So I thought, let's just turn it into an experiment. This mechanism works okay. So what I've thought is, let's have a go at using a can motor on this. I got these free because from some old DVDs I just broke them up, and I've got half a dozen of these things. So I thought, let's have a go with that. So what I've done, stripped it back down again. I've pulled the little main cog wheel off this armature, and I've sleeved it and glued it onto this can motor. And I've tested that motor, and that is working lovely. That's spinning well, nice and smooth, and everything seems to be fine with that. What the important thing is with this can motor is that as and when this goes in to this system here, it goes in somewhere, something like that. But it's got to be positioned centrally or in an accurate position, because if it goes too tight into the cogwheel, it all locks up. And obviously, if it goes too far away from the cogwheel, it won't mesh properly. The teeth won't mesh properly. So what I've decided to have a go at is, this was the original metal part that fitted onto the original magnet of the motor. So I've took that off, and what I've done is I've cut the middle out of it where there was like a little bearing in there, because that was holding this can motor too high. So what I've done is cut it out so that this cog will fit into there like that, and I'll be in a better position when I come to glue this together to centralise that in this little frame. I can centralise it in between those three fixings there. As you can see, I'll be able to centralise the motor. So imagine that can motor is fixed into there. When it comes to fixing this into the actual mechanism, that whole thing there's 3 lugs there. The whole thing will drop in like so, and hopefully that will centralise the cog in the right place. It'll come through that hole and centralise it in the right place. I've got to do a little modification. I've already done one, as you can see, but I've got to do another little one, because as I mentioned earlier, there was a little pin on here to help centralise the outer ring on this, and it's just there, a little pin. So what I'm going to do is, off camera, I will file that away so that this can motor will sit flat and plumb in there, and I'll most probably glue it off camera as well, because it'll just take forever to glue it on camera, and there'll be too much fiddling around. So I'll break away now. Never done this before, so it's a bit of an experiment, but it's fun. Let's see if we can get it going, eh? I've glued the motor to that little carrier round 3 sides. What I might do now is I'm going to try and put some glue in that slot there and that slot there without interfering with the cogs. That's good. Now, my motor's spinning in the carrier. Now what we've got to do is put that carrier in into the frame. That's how it's sitting. Now, this isn't screwed in, so the screws, I've got to make sure when I do put the screws in the carrier, that they don't foul on anything, and also that it doesn't pull it at a sort of angle that makes it go too tight into the cogs and it locks up. So let's see if just holding it in gets anywhere. Let's see what we sound like there. Yay, look at that. How cool is that? Right, what I've got to do now is put the screws in. Right, here's my screws that I knocked up before. These are the screws that I took out of the carrier, and these are the little washers that I'm using, and these are just bits off the old brush carrier. I was going to throw it away anyway. So let's see if putting these on affects the angle. Now I've got to test that this turns. That seems to turn nice. Right, that's screwed in. Time to test this again. I'm all excited. Yay! Right, let's see. Oh, listen to that. That is cool. I am so chuffed with that. Now, this is just as a very brief test, but this is the bogie. I haven't done anything with the bogie as yet because I wanted to see how we got on with all this. What I'll do is I'm going to connect these up, red to red, green to the black, and then just as a test, I'll just put some power onto the wheels and see if we can get the motor running. Because now that this is working, my plans for this are I've been putting together one of the old Pullmans, one that runs with the 47 Dionysus, and I managed to get hold of a Dionysus body shell, new. See, Dionysus, brand new. It fits on that, but this has got the new clips on the inside, and with this being an old chassis, it's got the old lugs. So I'm going to do away with them and do the holes in the side and see if we can get that working. Because if I wanted to do this, it's like £15 to buy, 20 quid to buy a new chassis. How much is it to buy a new motor? At the moment, that's cost me the original cost, which was like, what is it, £1 or £2 to buy the whole mess. The motor was free, and it's just a bit of time, which is just playing around with the bits, and that's fun, isn't it? I haven't even cleaned any of this at all. It's got pickups on 4 of the wheels, and see what happens. Yay! Look at that. So I've got this up and running, and that's going to work. I think it just needs a bit more oil. Right, that's all working. And I've got to get this back in there now. Right, something is holding this off. to them. So you can go, you can go, and you can go. A little bit of drastic modification, snipping them bits off, but they were only to do with the old setup. Right, let's try this again. At each stage I'm testing it so that I know where I'm at with what causes anything to seize up. There we go. That seems to be fine anyway. I've got it running. That's all that matters to me, considering that it was scrap. So, motor's up and running, made up with all of that. And then it's time to work on this. As we speak, it doesn't fit. So I need to work on that. So I'll end it there for now. See you soon. Okay, to keep things a bit shorter, what I've done is I've carried on a bit of work off camera. If you remember, I temporarily connected up the bogie with the motor last time and I got it working. Now it's permanently connected with heat shrink on the joins. I've stuck new weights in on the chassis using wheel balancing weights, self-adhesive ones, which you can get for a few quid a million off eBay. And if you remember, I pointed out last time that the chassis had lugs here in various places to accept the old body in those holes. Well, the new body hasn't got those holes. The new body has got a cleaner look to it, but uses little plastic lugs on the inside of the shell. So what I've done is I've utilised the four corner ones. I've cut the middle ones out and I've put holes in the chassis to accept those lugs. So what we'll do now, we'll just show you the motor running. Right, there's the motor running. Very nice. It's a bit noisier than what would be on the track because it's static at the moment on this. So I'm really chuffed with that. A bit of just a bad connection on my test track, but that's running really well. So I'm chuffed with that. So that's looking good. And now on the new body. So we'll just put the new body on. And it's a nice little click there. So that's gone on. So now we've got a fully working Dionysus class 47, so we can use on the Pullman train. How cool is that? Some parts that were in the scrap, the old body, that mess of wires on the chassis, and a motor that didn't work. And now we've got a lovely little Loco. I might return to this and put some lights in it in the future, but for now I think that is mission accomplished and a job done. Excellent. So please like and subscribe if you get the chance, and come and visit me again when I've got some more things to show you. See you soon. Bye bye. That is lovely, absolutely lovely, smooth as anything. Good pickup and everything. Okay, that was just to show you how quiet it is.